Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello and welcome back to Believe in the Bronx, the at-home edition after the Yankees' Game 5 victory over the Cleveland Guardians to win the ALDS and move on to the American League Championship Series. Pete Caldera here in New York. Mike Stanton there in Houston, where I'll be tomorrow morning at some point, pretty early. And you know, it was a crazy route for the Yankees to get here. But, you know, when you thought about how this season was going for the Yankees in the first half and the history they've had with the Houston Astros, you kind of felt and expected that this is where we'd wind up. ALCS, Yankees and Astros, and here we are, Mike.
Yeah, you would have thought that we would have gotten to this point a little bit easier, at least for the Yankees. But hey, we're here. This is the matchup that everyone wanted. This is what Major League Baseball wants to see. This is what the fan base wants to see. This is what the nation wants to see. These two heavyweights slugging it out. Yeah,
absolutely. And for the Yankees to get there, they needed to win 2 elimination games, and Garrett Cole delivered in Game 4. This afternoon at Yankee Stadium, you had Nestor Cortez, and probably the one guy that you felt really strongly felt he was equipped to handle going on short rest at Yankee Stadium, elimination game. You know, things just don't faze this guy. He's had maybe the hardest road to the major leagues of any of the Yankee starters, and he delivered in his 5 innings.
He was outstanding, and it was really started from pitch 1. I mean, he goes 5 innings. He could have gone much further. He only threw 61 pitches in his 5 innings. I mean, he was efficient. He was spinning the ball. He had location. He did everything that the Yankees needed him to do. And that was, you know, at least for the beginning of the game, put up a few zeros. You know, don't let this Yankee team play from behind, even though they have big power. You know, when a team gets behind, they get more aggressive offensively. And we know that the Guardians had the advantage in the bullpen. So, you know, he did exactly what Yankee fans wanted him to do, needed him to do. He was nothing short of outstanding.
Right. And you'd mentioned it earlier in our podcast too, Mike, the importance of the Yankees getting on top early and allowing them to kind of settle into their game. And they used it with power today. 3-run homer by Stanton in the first inning. Judge gets a solo homer in the second. They're off and running. You know, just looking back on this 5-game series, Cleveland out-hit the Yankees by a significant margin, but the Yankees hit 9 home runs to Cleveland's 3, and that's the difference right there. I'm wondering how this bodes for the Yankees now going into the ALCS against a much tougher pitching staff, especially in the starting rotation on balance in the Houston Astros. You know, can the Yankees still rely on that power to be their advantage in this series?
Well, I don't think they have any choice. I mean, that's how they score runs. I mean, you're not going to change anything now. You know, it would have been nice for Yankee fans if you had guys like DJ LeMahieu in there, if you had Andrew Benintendi, you know, guys that have, you know, some contact in their game. But, you know, you got to play the cards that you're dealt, and you know, they're going to have to continue to go after the big swing. And, you know, that's Giancarlo Stanton is a perfect example. You know, Cervelli made a mistake. You know, he was throwing the slider down in a way he was probably going to get him out, but he elevated that pitch. And, you know, Giancarlo, all he's got to do is touch it. He's so strong that once he touches it, gets in the air just a little bit. And that was just a line drive home run to right field. And that's what they're going to live and die by. That's how, you know, they did it all season. That's how this team is put together. Now, the interesting thing is going to see exactly how these Houston Astro pitchers attack this Yankees team, just simply because if you remember the 3-game series in New York in the middle of the summer, the Astros pitched extremely well, set, you know, all kinds of records again about how anemic the Yankees offense was. And a lot of that has to do with how the Astros were pitching to that offense.
Yeah. And, you know, in an earlier podcast too, Mike, you had mentioned about, you know, some of what became kind of disadvantages for teams that were, you know, waiting around for the next series, and the momentum that was built by teams that were playing. You know, now you've got a Yankees team that just finished playing this afternoon on a flight to Houston right now, starting immediately in this series. Now they haven't set it up as well as the Astros in their pitching. But it looks like obviously it's Tyone game one. Severino will probably pitch game two, and then you've set it up again to come home with Cole and Nestor Cortez in games 3 and 4. But I don't know, do the Yankees have any advantage just kind of building this momentum going forward as opposed to maybe the team that's been sitting around for a couple of days?
I think that the only thing that you could say as far as an advantage for the Yankees would be that momentum, would be that adrenaline coming off of, Yankee Stadium. You were there. It was rocking and rolling today. They really came out and were strong. And a lot of that had to do with the Yankees doing exactly what they needed to do for Nestor Cortez and the rest of the team. Give them the early lead. And I think that had a lot to do with how aggressive he ended up being in the zone, just simply because he could. He had a 3-run lead. Yeah. But I think that, so there's a lot of emotion that went into the win tonight for the Yankees. That will carry into tomorrow, but you will have to see exactly, how tired they may be. They're going to get in. They're going to get in pretty late. Luckily, it is the night game tomorrow, so they don't have to turn around and play the day game. But it's still going to be a difficult travel evening, night into the morning, and you'll have to wait and see how they feel tomorrow. But it's the playoffs. This is what you do. I've talked to so many players of mine, friends of mine, over the years that once you're done, whether you win the World Series or you're not, you don't. When the adrenaline wears off, when the mind finally settles down, you're completely and totally exhausted. Yeah. They won't be tomorrow. They're going to fight through it tomorrow. They've got a long 7-game series coming against their biggest rivals in the Astros.
Yeah, and at least they buy an hour too going west.
They do.
Just a couple of housekeeping things for the Yankees. They've got to settle on an ALCS roster too, kind of overnight. They brought a bunch of guys that were either on the bubble or in consideration for the 7-game ALCS. DJ LeMahieu is one of those guys that could either be on this roster or not. We spoke to him a little bit after batting practice today, and he's the toe is feeling a little bit better, but can they afford to take him? What role would he have if they do take him? Certainly, you wouldn't anticipate him being a starter at this point, but can he provide enough off the bench? And now there's a roster spot available because Aaron Hicks, who collided with Cabrera in the outfield today and came out of the game, is done for the postseason. So you've got one position playing roster spot that is available on this club now. That could go to LeMahieu. That could go to Oswald Peraza, the young rookie shortstop. So that's a decision to make. And Ron Marinaccio in the bullpen could replace Miguel Castro. And we have to see about some other guys on the bubble as far as their bullpen's concerned.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, where Aaron Boone wants to go, how they want to do it. And, LeMahieu, as much as you would love to have him on the roster, if he's not going to be able to play in the field, or if he's not going to be able, to run the bases like he needs to, that's a little bit of a dangerous situation, because now all of a sudden you're just burning a roster spot. But we'll have to wait and see. Like I said before, it would be nice to have DJ LeMahieu in the lineup every single day, because, this is a former batting champion. This is a guy that knows how to put the ball in play, can use the whole field. But so we'll just have to wait and see. It's just one of those unfortunate things that, that he does have the toe problem, and you can't rush healing. And right. Of all places, that if you have an injury, when it's your feet, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Yeah, exactly. And the value of having Hicks on the team was that not only was he a plus defender in left field, he could draw you a walk off the bench too, and had some speed. So right. That's a factor that's off their roster right now. Frankie Montas is another guy who could potentially be in play for the ALCS, not as a starter, but out of the bullpen. He's been dealing with that shoulder issue off and on since they acquired him from Oakland.
I wouldn't expect it. I mean, I know that you brought him over and this is a big time power arm, but he's not a guy that's done a whole lot of relieving in his career. And when would you use him? I mean, I know it's another arm to have, but to burn a roster spot on a guy that might be able to pitch, might not be able to pitch. I think that's a little dangerous also. You need to make sure that you have a full roster, a full stable of stallions that can go ahead and go out there and at least hopefully perform well. It's to me, I don't think you can really burn roster spots on guys that are question marks.
Yeah. It's interesting too, Mike, as we kind of conclude this episode, that it's pretty rare that the Yankees go into any series as an underdog, but you would think that obviously the Astros have a distinct advantage coming to this series, not only having the American League's best record, but having home field advantage in these playoffs. Now, the last time that the Yankees came into a series like that, you remember the 2017 ALCS when a very young Aaron Judge in his rookie year and a Yankee team he didn't anticipate would get that far, push the Astros to a 7-game ALCS.
Right. Yeah.
How do you see this one going? You think we're back in Houston for 6 and 7?
I am a big fan of chaos. I want 7 games, and this doesn't have anything to do with either team. We just got to remember, we have potentially 20 baseball games left because the National League has already started. Right. I want all those games because once they're over, we'll see you in spring training next year. So I want as many games as you can possibly have. But yeah, this is going to be a dogfight between these two. And I think that it can really go either way. I think one of the things we're going to have pay attention to as far as the Astros are concerned tomorrow is, has the layoff, they had the long layoff, then they swept the Mariners, and now they've had more time off, and it has that affected them in a negative way as far as the hitters, the timing, the tempo for the pitchers. I think that Justin Verlander absolutely, in his first start against the Mariners, I thought that the layoff had really, really harmed him he just didn't look right. And the guy that has impeccable command, he really didn't know where the ball was going. I expect him to be better tomorrow night, but you never know. I mean, you're still talking about, more than usual rest.
Right. And this is still an Astro team that beat the Yankees 5 out of 7 during the regular season. It's also a Yankees team that they have guys on this club in Judge and Severino and Torres who are old enough to remember and have the hard feelings of 2017 and the aftermath of the electronic sign stealing scandal and what that meant to them, how they still feel about that. Now, they did their best to not go there in the post game. They kept the celebration and the focus on what's ahead and 2022 and all that. But you got to think that certainly in the back of their minds and maybe even a little further front, that they're thinking how extra special it would be to knock off the Astros, because this is the team that has had their number for the last 2 ALCSs, 2017 and 2019.
Yeah, there's no love loss between these two teams. There's no doubt about it. And, this is the kind of stuff that makes real rivalries. We have the geographic rivals and all that kind of stuff. But when good teams clash head to head, there's history. That's when things can really get interesting. And listen, these are two very, very good teams. I do think the Astros do have the advantage. They're rested. They've been able to set up their pitching staff. But it's still, this is a very powerful Yankee team. We know that. And if they can get a hold of a couple mistakes and drive the ball out of the ballpark, they can absolutely score runs. There's no doubt about that. So this is going to be, we're going to have to buckle our chin straps here, because this one could be very interesting.
Well, this is the series we anticipated that a lot of
This is the one everybody wanted. This is the one everyone wanted.
And here it is. And it starts tomorrow night in Houston at Minute Maid Park. I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it. I know you'll be there and jazzed up for it too. So can't wait. Can't wait to get on that flight to Houston, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. There's no doubt about it. And we also have to keep an eye on what's going on in the National League, just simply because the winner of the ALCS, goes to the World Series. So it's going to be fun. Still a lot of baseball. Yeah, it's a little bittersweet because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. That is the end of the season. But it's been a great postseason so far, and hopefully we've got a lot more very interesting games coming up.
Yep. It's going to be fun. All right, so we'll wrap it up here, and we'll see you again tomorrow night after Game 1 of the ALCS in Houston.
See ya.